All right, it's a double upload day. Oh my goodness. I had my first video, which really was mostly about an update for people that have been following me as I'm becoming a yoga instructor for seniors. So if you're interested in that, check that out, but totally understandable, it's not for everybody. What I wanted to talk about this week is the upcoming Walk Away March, which is happening on October 27th in DC. I'll be there, and I'm really hoping I see as many of you as I can. I'm gonna be in the crowd walking the march. I'll be live streaming. When I was a journalist, my bread and butter was interviewing people, and so I cannot wait to get back out there and get back to what I love doing. I love talking to people. I love getting their perspective. I love asking them questions and picking, their thoughts apart. If I can ever really get this channel sort of really going, I would love to do that, and not just interviewing some of the creators that we like, but I would really love to interview some of the people that are there in my comments section. That there's so many of you that have just amazing insights and perspectives, and so if I could somehow facilitate those discussions, I would definitely want to do that. So what I want to do is just maybe answer whatever questions I have seen come up about the march. The biggest one that I've seen is what time is the march going to be at? And unfortunately, I don't know, and there isn't a set time yet. As someone who's lived here for many years, and I've been to a lot of marches, I can tell you most of them start in the morning. They're probably going to start sometime between 9 a.m. and noon. That's because they want to be able to march and then actually have time to have the rally afterward. So from what I've seen on the Eventbrite page, which I'll link to below, the march is supposed to be starting at the DNC, and then we'll be walking to the Capitol. For those of you that have asked, I will not be at the gala. I will not be at the brunch. They sound amazing, but they're also very expensive, and I cannot afford that. As some of you know, I have stepped away from crisis hotline counseling while I'm doing this training to become a yoga teacher. So I don't actually have an income coming in, and I just, my boyfriend is amazing and has been picking up the slack. And so the thought of asking him, like, on top of what you're doing, can you also be cool with me spending hundreds of bucks to go put on a dress and go to a dinner? It just doesn't feel right asking that. So Mike and I will be at the march on Saturday, and for all of you that have asked, it's totally free. Just show up. You don't have to register. Some people aren't comfortable with putting their information out there online. I completely understand that. So you don't have to register. You just have to show up. You should be able to bring like book bags and coolers and stuff if you think you're going to need something like that. The biggest question though that I keep getting that I can't answer, and it's really the point of this video, is whether or not the march is going to be safe. I don't know. I really don't. In the past, in marches that I've been in, if they're volatile, the police will sort of flank you on either side. They'll try to separate you from counter protesters, but I've never been to a march that's going to be at the scale of this. And I think the fact that it's the week before the election is even more, I think it raises the possibility that something could happen. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, just this past weekend, there was an incident in New York after the Proud Boys were there for an event, and Antifa showed up, and it's unclear exactly who threw the first punch. According to the Proud Boys, someone knocked off someone smacked them upside the head and knocked off one of their hats, and so they were acting in self-defense. And to a certain degree, I can understand that. You know, I've said before that I'm a big defender of the Second Amendment. I understand the want, the need to defend yourself. So absolutely, if you were, you know, minding your own business, walking down the street, wearing whatever hat you want to, and someone reaches out and slaps it off your head, all right, I get it. You know, I get it. But some of the footage that we're seeing, and I'll put a link down. Tim Pool has a really good video with a bunch of footage that he put together. So the footage I've seen, it looks like, you know, it was self-defense up to a certain point. But then there was a point where they had, one of them was on the ground and they were kicking him. And I saw another person who got sucker punched. And I think that's where my biggest concern is. You know, for those of us that are attending the march, you know, is the plan to be nonviolent and to turn the other cheek? You know, are you showing up for a fight? Are you showing up expecting to have to defend yourself? I'd really love to hear what everyone else has to say, because right now all I've really been able to talk to is Mike, and we're both going, but I don't know anyone else in real life that's going. You know, I talk to all of you here online on YouTube, and I know, you know, and on Facebook, and I know a lot of you are going to come, and I really want as many people to come as possible. But I also feel like I would be remiss if I didn't, at least as someone who's here in, you know, on the ground in this area. I'm in DC. You know, well, I'm right outside of DC, and I go to DC very often as part of my teacher training. So, because that's where my school is. So, you know, as someone who's here, it is getting violent. It's getting, it's escalating. And the attitude here is escalating as we get towards the election. And so my big concern is with having the march, you know, so close to it. I don't think the Democrats are going to let people go without, you know, a real fight. And I would not be surprised if Antifa shows up to the walkaway march in I'm not sure how many numbers. And so I would just tell everyone to really consider how you're going to respond if you are met with some violence. Have faith the police will be there to protect you as much as possible. But, you know, I would say hope for the best, but make plans for the worst. If you're going to bring a bag with snacks or water, you might want to consider slipping a bike helmet or something into your bag with you. We've heard that, you know, we've seen Antifa members go after, you know, or far left activists go after conservatives with you know, protest signs or bike locks or you know, whatever they can get their hands on. So that is a real concern that I have. And I actually called into the Vince Daniels radio show the Friday before last and talked with him a little bit about my concerns with this and whether we think that there could be the potential for violence there. Brandon also called in to Vince Daniels this past Friday, so I'll have links to both of those interviews below. But really, what I'm going to close with is just a question for all of you, for anyone that's watching this. You know, are you coming to the march? And if you're coming, what do you expect, and what are you planning for? And if you're not coming to the march, is it because you're afraid that it might get violent? And I would really love to just hear what other people have to say about this. I certainly don't want to turn this into a bigger situation than it should be. But with what happened this past weekend, it's really on my mind about how are people attending this march going to respond if something like that happens. So, everyone, please take care of each other. Please be good to each other, and be excellent to each other. It's a hard thing to live your life by, and I'm not always good at it, but I try really hard to be as kind as I can to everyone. So, with that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts on how you're gonna approach this march. So, leave a comment, leave a like. If you know other people that are going to the march and you want their opinion, please share this video. I'd really love to hear what everyone's thinking.